Benchwarmers Podcast. I am Casey Coggins, joined as always by Alvin Hebert.
What up?
And Andrew Lira.
Howdy, howdy.
Crack it open.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Modelo because that's what we're drinking on.
Not sponsored by. That's totally different.
I would love to be sponsored by anybody, so that'd be nice. So NBA started 2 nights ago, and we hadn't gotten into our season preview, so that's what this episode's all about. We're not going to talk about the fact that Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander just got rocked in back-to-back games. And that the Nationals are on like one of the most improbable seasons since the 86 Mets.
When you're destined, man.
It's going to be a tough sledding the rest of that series. But what we're going to do is we're going to do our Spurs season preview. What we like, what we don't like, how we can see their season going. Just doing that normal stuff. Then we're going to do our 8 teams in each conference for the playoffs. Our NBA Finals matchup in champion. And then we're going to pick our MVPs, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved Player this year. So let's just get into it. Spurs opened last night at home against the Knicks, and there were a couple moments of that game where I just felt the Spurs should have ran away with it. Like in the first half, I think they built a lead of 14 and they built a lead of like 16. And then Pop takes DeJounte out and the Spurs give up a run. And at one point in the third quarter, they lost their lead and it looked like it might be swinging the other way. And the Knicks were going to steal a game that they had no right in being in. But at the end of the day, the Spurs Spursed and the Knicks nixed. And Spurs start their season 1-0 like they typically do. I don't remember the last time they lost a home opener.
Y'all go to them live. Y'all know more than I do.
I've been to the last 6. Andrew's been to the last 4.
Yep.
And sadly, I can never go. Work life.
And that's where we can really start our Spurs discussion with like how they looked last night. I know me and Andrew were at the game. Alvin, were you able to like see any of it, look at the stats, pull anything up, see any clips, highlights? Have you stayed in touch with what happened last night?
I did catch the last bit of the third quarter into the fourth quarter when I got home. So I did see at the start of the clawback from the Spurs where like you just saw old school Spurs, like the ball was just moving around and finding an open shooter, and it was just they got hot, started sticking them in. What's his name? Bertans.
They don't have Bertans.
Bertans is gone.
They traded him to Washington to try to sign Marcus Morris.
For not having Marcus Morris.
And
San Antonio didn't forget.
Are you talking about Brent Forbes?
Forbes, there you go. Yeah. He got hot from downtown.
Brent Forbes, Bertans. I can see it.
I know it was a weird name.
So that was my big takeaway. And I mean, I started doing the Corner 3 podcast this week, and my big thing was about the Spurs rotations. Brent Forbes is just better than Patty Mills, and like that's why he's starting. He brings the same amount of shooting to the table. He's not quite as crafty with the ball as Patty is, but he's just a naturally better defender. Patty's a tryhard, which, you know, accounts for like 60% of being a defender is just putting in an effort. And Patty made some key plays in that game with a steal coming around I think it was on Morris. He came around the back of him, was able to strip the ball, led to a break, a fast break. And then there was another one where I think he like got a charge, or he had a couple of really good defensive plays. But DeJounte Murray and Bryn Forbes are going to be the catalyst to this season for the Spurs.
Not Derek White?
No. As much as I would love to say Derek White,
Not yet.
he's not as good defensively as DeJounte, and he's not as good offensively as Bryn. And it showed last night. Like Derek White, when he got put into the game, the Knicks went on runs. DeJounte Murray was the best player on the court last night. That, like, hands down, was the best player on the court. LaMarcus iced the game. He just took over in the fourth. DeMar was horrible, just absolutely horrendous for 80% of that game.
Until they started that run.
Yeah, and then finally in the fourth quarter, he got a layup, and like, he missed. I want to just pull up the box score for him, because he was 3 of 10 from the field. He shot 1 3-pointer, and it reminded me why he doesn't shoot 3-pointers, because that thing went like 3 feet over the rim and hit the bottom corner on the other side of the rim. Like, it was atrocious. And I was like, okay, yeah, that was a good. At least you did it. But,
You tried.
Yeah.
E for effort.
But he was 7 of 11 from the free throw line. So the Spurs missed 7 free throws. He missed 4 of them. He went for 13, 4, and 4. And I mean, the plus minus is kind of a phony stat, but he was a +2, where you have like Patty Mills at a +8, Pirtle at a +9, DeJounte at a +9, Trey Lyles had a +9. Trey Lyles was kind of like an unsung hero signing for the Spurs. Like, the fact that they traded Bertans to get Morris, and that fell through, and they were like, okay, cool, we're going to just sign Trey Lyles.
Yeah, that was...
Like, I forgot that he was on the team until just like a week or two ago, when I was thinking about the roster.
Yeah.
I just completely forgot they had him
That was my thought when I saw him on the floor.
starting lineup. Like, he
Oh,
started.
that's right. Trey Lyles is playing. Trey Lyles is with the Spurs now. The other one was what's his name? Damari Carroll.
You forgot about Carroll?
He did. Yeah, he didn't play last night.
Yeah,
at
I
all.
know. He didn't play at all, but I was just like, oh shit, that's right.
Yeah, and
Which I was surprised he didn't play.
so I'm very off on Marco Bellinelli. Just, he could fall off the face of the earth.
I heard.
Yeah, I'm very.
You would never play him on the floor.
And for that matter, I wouldn't play Patty, and that's what I said on the corner 3. Like,
What? I get it now. I was like, where the fuck does the 3 come from? Is Casey's corner? It's not Casey's corner. It's Casey's corner 3.
right?
Yes.
He's shooting the 3 from the corner.
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck is this 3? I think it didn't help that you put the number 3.
Yeah, that was just because of spacing.
I was like, why is it 3? What's the deal with 3?
Yeah, I thought about like putting like a
Start going into
basketball
Rain Man mode
a
and
basketball in the corner of the
I went
logo, but
super full on like Casey's corner, yes. But why 3? I'm used to like Casey in the corner, not Casey
in the corner.
from the corner.
yeah. And I did that also because like it's just I'm just going to talk about basketball on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Patty is a great guy for leadership, locker room. Like,
He's gonna win a teammate of the year.
yeah, exactly. But when it comes down to it, you got to figure out what you have with some of these guys. Like the fact that Lonnie Walker doesn't see the court when he had this incredible summer. He is explosive. He's taller than 5'11". His hair might make up for some of that, but he's bigger, more athletic than Patty Mills is, and he's not the offensive force that Patty is, but he can do a lot of other things that Patty just can't. And I would rather see what we have in Lonnie than to just trot out the same thing that hasn't been working the last few years. And Marco Bellinelli was horrendous. I think he gave up an 8-0 run to the Knicks by himself because he got lost on 2 ball screens and gave up open threes, and then he got posted up and gave up a 2-pointer. And he immediately gets pulled. He had one of his rushed threes from the wing that just looked off from the get-go. He ended up with 2 points in 19 minutes. Maybe 3. It might have been a 3-pointer that he made. But with DeMare Carroll, who's a bigger body, who's a guy you can play at the 4, who can also take and make threes, with Lonnie Walker, with guys that you've also drafted and Luka Samanic and Chesami Metu. These are guys that you kind of want to see what they're going to be like. Now, you don't want to see what they're going to be like in exchange for wins. And that's why I'm okay with Samanic and Metu not getting any run right now. But I feel from what I've seen out of Lonnie Walker, he's going to help win more than lose. And I would like to see him play. So I'm in the camp that DeJounte Murray is the most important Spur to this season. It's a ride or die with him. And if he shows out, the Spurs are going to be a lock for the playoffs. A possible, I would even go as far to say a possible 4 seed with the rest of the team. But even if they do get a lower seed, they can upset teams because of how good DeJounte can be. He did take and make a 3 last night, which was big. But yeah, I'm in the camp that this season is all about how DeJounte plays. If he's awful or if he's below average, the Spurs miss the playoffs. If he's above average, they make it. And
what if he just is average?
If he's average, it'll be tough. If he's average, it's not a lock either way. But if he's above average, it's a lock. They make it. If he's below average, it's a lock. They don't. And that's, to me, it just comes down to him.
I think it comes down to trading DeMar DeRozan. Because the more I see him, the less I like him.
The more he has to go.
I didn't like seeing him yesterday. I was just like, okay, I'm done.
He looked off. He just
looked, one game, boys. Just one game.
It was kind of depressing.
And that's at one point I turned to April and I said he's come out and talked about his mental health and how he has to he deals with this from time to time, and last night looked like he was dealing with something. He wasn't really explosive. He was very passive in the first half.
He was just not there. He was absent.
Yeah, and he was short rimming all of his shots, other than that terrible 3 that I already talked about. And then all of a sudden, it looked like it almost looked like in Space Jam when the NBA players get their powers back from the ball, and they're like, oh yeah, I can dribble and I can shoot and all of that. Y'all know that last scene in Space Jam? That was the fourth quarter for DeMar. Like it looked like he grabbed the ball and then all of a sudden he's like shaking and the powers get back into him.
He got Mike's secret stuff back.
He started he started taking people to the hole and trying to finish and getting. I mean, he shot 11 free throws. He was attacking, and he just looked better in the fourth quarter than
I think it cheered him up at how much San Antonio was booing Marcus Morris.
I'm sure
it was so loud.
Yeah.
when they fucking teed him up, the crowd erupted.
It was great.
I stood up and I was like, "Yeah, fuck him!" I was like, "Hit him again! Get them the fuck out of here!"
He said he was going to be prepared for all that.
Yeah, he also
didn't look like it because he lost his cool.
he also scored 25 points or like 23 points. That dude it was him, RJ, and Julius Randle that.
I forgot Julius Randle went to the Knicks.
I really like this Knicks team.
Yeah, they're like sleepy, pretty good.
Because they're fucking big and athletic. Like
they're gonna be fun to watch.
Like
they play defense.
Honestly, when I'm looking at the teams in the Eastern Conference, I see the Bucks being able to match the size of the Sixers, and I think the only team that can match this size is the Knicks, because they're starting RJ Barrett at point guard and he's 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
They have Alfred Payton who's 6'6", 6'5", 6'6" as the backup. And then they have Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis.
This team they're not slouches.
Mitch Robinson too, that's hurt. He's not even back yet.
And then coaching, they have what's it, Jaeger?
Fizdale.
Fizdale, there you go. Yeah, Jaeger.
Yeah, he's all about defense.
Yeah,
like, they're going to play defense. Coach.
Yeah, no, he's not. I mean, take that for data.
Yeah.
We remember.
You ain't going to look us.
Kevin Knox, who's a 6'9", 6'10", small forward who can shoot, and he knocked down 3 3-pointers last night. He had 13. Defense, he's not very good. But Dennis Smith is their other backup guard, and he's not going to be there all season.
No.
He's too. I
feel bad for him too, because I thought he would embrace New York and be there like number one.
His one problem is his pride. He has that Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith, kind of vibe where it's like, I'm the best player on the court when you're like you're not. He tried this pull-up, like, transition jumper over LaMarcus Aldridge, and I was like, well, that was stupid because it just got blocked. I'm like, you're 5'11", trying to shoot over a 7-footer when he's right there. Like, there was no way that was going to work. And that's going to be their big thing. And their other starter was Alonzo Trier, who I think is like 6. Yeah, he's listed at 6'4". He's their shortest starter, 6'4". They're a big team, and I mean, I thought Alfred Payton was taller than that. He's listed at 6'3". Maybe it's just because I remember him with his tall hair that made me think he was taller, but I mean, even 6'3" still a taller point guard.
Nowadays that's like the average. Or not even nowadays. That's what's gonna be the average. That's what they're gonna expect from you.
I mean, like Dame Lillard is like 6 foot, 6'1". I think Westbrook is like 6'2". So
yeah, it's gonna go 6'2" and up, really, unless you have that Dame, that shot.
Yeah,
like you're just that good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Patty Mills is sustained in the league for as long as he has, because he has an elite skill set on offense. He's quick, he's smart, and he can shoot the lights out. Marcus Morris ended up with 26 points, 4 rebounds, 3 steals.
Yep.
In one.
That's how you feel about him.
That's exactly how I feel about it. I was still booing. I woke up this morning, boys, and said, "Fuck him!" It was wild.
Alarm went off like, "Fuck him!"
Fuck Marcus Morris.
I'm gonna start every day with saying that. It's a good day to just say fuck Marcus Morris.
I went full like player haters ball and just like, hey, boo this man.
So before we get back into the swing of things, the Bucks Rockets are at halftime right now. The Rockets are ahead 66-50. And as I pull up the box score, Eric Gordon has taken 9 shots. Harden with 6. Westbrook with 6. They're both 2 of 6. But James Harden is 10 of 10 from the free throw line.
Of course.
At half.
Of course.
So we're a little over the time for the Spurs discussion.
DeAndre Ayton facing
25
suspension,
games.
25 games.
For what?
Drug policy.
Taking a diuretic.
I don't know why people be taking that shit, man.
That's stupid.
Every time when a player gets caught, it's because he's taking some supplement substance.
That's the drug policy.
You're right.
Because they got
like
some compound in there that puts it on the list.
Tainted substances.
Nate Diaz. Which sucks. So, to just get this on the record, is it ride or die with DeJounte? Is that the season? Like he has to be above average for the Spurs to make the playoffs.
I think if he's just average, it'll be all right. Because the Spurs are never built on just like one person.
We're missing pieces. There's a move that needs to be made.
Yeah, it's not fucking playing Marco Bellinelli. That's the move that needs to be made. They have
listen to the coach.
Play Lonnie Walker. Don't play Marco Bellinelli. And I think we're good.
There's a roster spot that we need to fill. Like there's one missing.
Yeah, we need a 6'8", 6'9" wing. Like we need a guy like Davis Bertans.
Yeah.
Except Pop wouldn't play him anyway, so it doesn't really matter what the move is made.
It's because he had the knee braces. And he was like hella slow.
Sneaky athletic, I think, is the term that they go with. He's sneaky athletic. So we got the Andrews, DeMar needs to be traded take. My fuck Marco Bellinelli take. Alvin, do you have a hot take for the Spurs season and how you feel about the team?
I'm just with you. If they play Lonnie Walker more, I feel like you guys would be comfortable. Like, I think that's just like the main move.
Yeah, like so I think of it.
he showed he got the mid game and he could shoot from the three.
I think of it
in summer league
in terms of matchups. If you're playing Patty Mills against even the likes of the Warriors this season, who are like not as formidable, you're going to guard Steph and Russell with Patty Mills. Where does that make sense? Like, same thing with the Rockets, same thing with the Jazz, same thing with the Nuggets and the Lakers and the Clippers. Like, are you really trusting Marco Bellinelli and Patty Mills to play defense on some of these guys? Like, yeah, Lonnie Walker might not be the 3-point sharpshooter that those guys are, but I would rather have somebody who can prevent easy buckets. And it's not like he can't shoot threes, and it's not like he can't create on offense. He's just a different kind of playmaker. So I'm all for Lonnie Walker, but last night it kind of hit me when I was like, Pop really isn't going to play Lonnie Walker, and he's just going to end up being that next hyped draft pick of the Spurs who ends up going to another team and plays well. That's just how it seems like it's going to happen with him. He is only 20 now, but it just seems like he's not going to be a Spur for 10 years. He's going to be one of those pieces that gets moved to try to get another guy or move on from him entirely and not opt into the last year of the rookie deal. So let's get into our playoff picks. We're going to start in the East because what the fuck is I was really like just at a loss for 3 through 8. Like I feel like my number 3 team could be out of the playoffs. Like all it takes is just one weird thing to happen, because I think all of these teams aren't stone cold locks to make the playoffs. Like whereas I think in the West you have the reason they're not stone cold locks is because there's so many good teams. In the East, they're not stone cold locks because there's so many bad teams.
So bad.
And that's why we'll get to it in a minute, why I have the rankings I do. So, number 1 team, I have the 76ers. When they signed Al Horford, I was at first kind of at a loss. I didn't really like the move for them. And the more I listened to all of the NBA analysts, the more I thought about it, how they can have it set up, and the more like I looked at their roster and saw like all of the pieces that they have, the more I liked their team's chances to be the best team in the league. So, I mean, let alone having a hopefully fully healthy Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, who might actually take threes. He didn't in their first game. The Horford edition, who's just the glue guy. And one of my favorite rookies, Matisse Thybulle. Alvin, who's your one in the East?
I got Milwaukee.
Which isn't a surprise, but what's your main reason? Is just Giannis your main reason there?
No, I just felt like off-season they added better shooting depth.
They got Kyle Korver.
They actually got people that could shoot threes now.
It's still Kyle Korver.
Yeah.
There's not much weight behind that name anymore.
That's the Barco Melinelli syndrome up there. Is he'll be able to hit 3 threes in a game, but he'll also give up 6. So is that
you can't play him for more than like 5 minutes?
Yeah. But I mean, that's really all he's there for. He's going to be a maybe 10-minute a game guy.
Maybe.
Because with Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe and George Hill and the Lopez brothers and Giannis and like Pat Connaughton looked good in the playoffs for stretches. Like they have other people that they can rely on. Losing Brogdon hurt them. And I just felt like I just don't think that they're as good as they were last year.
Nah. They took a step down.
But it's one of the things that a player the caliber of Giannis can just make up for anyways. And it's just game 1, but being down 16 to the Rockets at half, not a good look. Andrew,
but it could also be a comparison to the East and West teams.
That's true too. Very true. Andrew, who's your number 1?
I got you.
The Sixers?
The Sixers, yes.
Is there any other key point to them other than the fact that, the
Al Horford pick was big for me. I loved it.
Tobias Harris is their number 5
still
starter.
There, yeah.
Like he's their 5th best starter.
Yeah, Tobias Harris is still there.
I don't think very solid.
I don't think losing Jimmy Butler is going to be that big of a deal. I think they're probably better off without him.
Yeah.
So I think they just moved up.
Well, you're a big Jimmy Butler fan.
Well, I also felt like down the stretch, like they relied on him a lot to keep them in games or get them ahead.
I don't know if that was necessarily a like we are going to lean heavily on Jimmy Butler because he's Jimmy Butler, or you
got the hot hand.
They just I feel like Brett Brown could be the first coach fired this year.
That would be.
Dang, you're number 2, you're number 1, and you're saying he could be the first coach fired.
Well, I'm saying that they're the number 1 because I don't think he's going to be fired, because I think he's going to figure it out. But if he doesn't figure it out, there is a chance that the 76ers season is just implodes because of the way that their roster is set up. Because they're going to have to rely on Zaire Smith, who didn't play his rookie season. So officially this is his rookie season. They're going to have to rely on another rookie in Matisse Thybulle. They're not deep. They're big. Their starting five could be the most talented starting five in the league, but there's I would say there's more of a chance that their season goes wrong than a team like the Bucks.
It's a high risk, high reward.
Yeah. Like your ceiling is so high, but your floor is also so low. And that's why I like Brett Brown. If they don't start off 15-6, if they're like 9-12, they're making a move. You're all in this year to make the finals or win the championship, and you can't go dragging.
You could lose your
feet.
whole team this year.
Yeah. I mean, you're invested in Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. You're invested in making sure Embiid's there for the long haul. You have some of these young guys still on their rookie deals that you don't have to worry about them, but mentally, like if Ben Simmons doesn't look like the next LeBron that he was kind of marketed to be when he was coming out of high school, when he enrolled early in college,
that's like there's that one player, because he's not the first one that was supposed to be the next LeBron. Remember when Andrew Wiggins was supposed to be the next LeBron?
So it started with OJ Mayo.
Yeah.
And then it was...
There's one every other year.
And it's based on the size and what they can do athletically on a court.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Wiggins is one of the biggest disappointments in like recent top draft pick history. Like it's like him and Anthony Bennett.
That was just a terrible draft class. Somebody was going to take that bullet.
Yeah.
Anthony Bennett.
Somebody was going to take that bullet. They had to have a draft.
Yeah.
Anthony did not.
But Ben Simmons is 6'10", incredibly like athletic, can handle the ball like a small guard, can pass like nobody's business. Like he could be the best passer in the league. And he doesn't have a jump shot. That's LeBron.
Mm-hmm. But LeBron tries to shoot the J.
Yeah, he does. He does.
LeBron tries.
Shoot the J.
Shoot it.
Sorry, I couldn't find a jump shot.
That's what he says. Sorry, I couldn't.
But yeah, I think there is a chance that the 76ers just implode this year, but I don't see it happening because I think the rest of the East is just that bad that it's like impossible for them. It's like they're too big to fail this year.
Embiid can carry them by himself.
Yeah, and we might get to that a little later too when we talk about awards.
Oh shit.
So number 2, do you have the Sixers, Alvin?
Yes.
Do you have the Bucks, Andrew?
Of course.
And I have the Bucks, and we've talked about those teams.
Next.
So here's where it gets fun in the East, or sad.
Pacers.
really, this could.
Did I say that out loud?
3 through 8 in the East is a little depressing.
I agree with you.
Yeah, right. I was like,
do you really have the Pacers there?
yeah, 100%.
100%.
Okay. Well,
Do you have them too?
No.
Oh,
I was about to say.
I was like,
I don't have them in the playoffs.
what?
I don't have the Pacers in the playoffs.
Oh my god.
They're not going to have Oladipo until like the All-Star break.
They didn't have Oladipo for most of last year also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the guy who carried them to the finish line is now in Utah.
Someone's gonna pick up that load.
Like Malcolm Brogdon, I think he's a fantastic player to have on your team, But if you're relying on him and Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis to carry your team to a 3 seed
in the East,
and Nate McMillan's your coach,
I just don't see it happening. I don't like their team not having Oladipo. I don't like.
That's what we said last year.
No, I think I had them as like my 4 seed.
No, but I'm talking about that's what we said after Oladipo went down. It was like, I don't think they can do it without him. They're out. They weren't out,
and they
were far from out.
Bogdanovich carried their ass to the finish line, averaging like 25 points a game.
I don't see it changing. I mean, I see the name changing, but that's it.
I couldn't come to grips with putting that team in the playoffs. Because there are teams that I like the pieces to more. And I know that one of my teams is going to shock y'all, but I always have one of those teams.
It's gonna be the Knicks.
No, it's not. Definitely not. Something's gonna they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good, Charlotte. And then James Dolan is gonna happen, and it's just gonna go straight to the shitter. My number 3 team is the Heat.
That's close.
I do like their pieces.
I like the Heat.
I like the fact that they got rid of Whiteside. I believe they picked up Al-Farouq Aminu.
Yes. It's funny though that they dropped one toxic player to pick up another one.
at least one toxic player busts his ass to win.
Because you fucking need me.
The other toxic player just wants his 2K rating to be higher.
Don't we all?
I would just like to be a 2K.
Speaking of 2K, have y'all seen those challenges that they're doing with Nike?
No.
Mm-hmm. Nike and 2K are doing like a collab to where you get achievements in 2K, like for the big games, like season opener, Christmas game, All-Star break.
And you get to turn them into actual shoes.
Exclusive. Once you fulfill those challenges, you get a chance to get those shoes. But the only way to get in the door is to get those challenges done in 2K.
That's really smart.
Like those,
really smart.
Like those grape bronze that he had on opening night.
Yeah.
That was the shoe.
And it's not like you just get them in the game. You actually can buy them.
Yeah, IRL. In real life.
Yeah, I got you. I mean,
just because y'all didn't catch
my soul hurt a little bit hearing you say IRL. It's like saying GG out loud.
That's like woke AF. In case y'all didn't know, I'm here for this.
This is him 24/7.
The thing that I do want to touch on with the Heat is they're the most likely suitor and the trade partner to get Chris Paul.
I was hoping you were going to say DeMar DeRozan.
No, I don't think that's happening. I don't think the Spurs want to trade him. I don't think any other team wants to trade for him. But I don't have them here. I would have the Heat here even without Chris Paul. It would sure up my thought on it if they do get Chris Paul. But I really like Tyler Hero. I think he's kind of a douchebag, but I do like his game. I like Jimmy Butler's game. They still have if Dragic is there until they trade him for Chris Paul, and he's proven to be a solid player. Having a guy like Bam Adebayo and they've drafted well over the last few years. Eric Spoelstra is a really good coach. I just think he is.
Pat Riley is a really good coach.
Right.
I mean, Pat Riley is a really good coach. But Eric Spoelstra, what he's been able to do the last few years with all the movement post LeBron, Wade, Bosh, has been commendable to say the least. I also am still a believer in Justice Winslow, who went for 27 in their opener. What I wasn't expecting is to see this Kendrick Nunn guy come out of nowhere.
Came out of none.
The master of none. They got Myers Leonard in the trade from Portland, which is a solid piece to have. I see seeing Jimmy Butler DNPing and they still won by 19, even though it was for personal reasons. I don't know what those personal reasons are, but like you win by 19 in the NBA without your best player, like that means you have a solid team, no matter how bad Memphis might be. So they're my 3. So y'all both had the Pacers at 3, and it's just because it's kind of like a Spurs kind of thing where it's like, I like the coach, their pieces know what they do, it's just going to be a system above everything kind of thing, and it just happens to be that you like the talent that they have too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like they got shooters, and I saw the roster, and I was all like, yeah, I do feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I forgot that they have TJ Warren, and
McConnell,
who's not afraid to shoot it. Really, you're gonna TJ McConnell?
He can shoot it.
He can shoot the damn ball.
Yeah,
he's an all right shooter.
If we're mentioning Kyle Korver,
I could mention McConnell.
Yes.
No. Kyle Korver.
If Kyle Korver gets brought up in this fucking episode, so get TJ McConnell.
But not for, you cannot say Kyle Korver and TJ McConnell are the same level of shooting.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
We're talking all-time great shooter and a guy who...
But we're not talking legacy right now. We're talking about...
Who's
current.
Yeah, currently.
Whose best comparison I have is Matthew Dellavedova. That's TJ McConnell.
He was scrappy.
Like Alex Caruso for the Lakers.
He had good traits, exactly. He wasn't the prettiest bitch, but he got good traits.
Yeah.
If you're relying on TJ McConnell to be...
Not relying on
you're not relying
we're not relying on Kyle Korver either.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, they lost to the Pistons, and Andre Drummond, 32 and 23.
That's Andre Drummond though.
Yeah. 4 blocks, 3 steals.
Yeah, that's Andre Drummond.
He's gonna do that once like a month, and we're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he's actually good."
That's right.
And
I wish I picked him on my draft team.
And then the rest of the month is gonna just be like
trash
bag.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to number 4.
I have the Heat there.
You have the Heat there.
I have the Raptors.
Interesting.
I mean,
I have Boston.
Boston.
What's wrong with you in Boston?
Not at 4.
Boston.
I think that the Horford subtraction there is huge. I'm not taking anything away from, like, I mean, this is what I would have said before night 1. I'm not going to change my pick after night 1, especially when you play the Sixers and look like that. But still having Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, Brad Stevens, Kemba Walker finally on a good team. They're going to have just some natural growing pains because of you now have a point guard who isn't just going to jack up a bunch of shots. You have Gordon Hayward and another year back from injury. Their big thing is they are small in the bigs department. You're going to be relying on Grant Williams, their rookie from Tennessee. Thies to be like a stretch 4, and then Robert Williams, who they drafted out of A&M last year in his second year. So there are some unproven bigs that they're relying on, but when your top talent is Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, that's going to win you more games than not. And so I'm banking on them just being solid all year, winning the games that they should, losing to teams like the Bucks and the Sixers. And with the way that the East is, I just see them being able to win enough games to be the 4 seed. We've touched on the Heat. And then you said you had the Raptors there. So let's get to the Raptors because they're my 5 seed.
Basically, they lost Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard. Pretty much the core is there.
I like how you said Danny Green before Kawhi Leonard, like he was more important. Did you quick stat on Danny Green? Most points scored in a Lakers debut in history.
6 for 6
in one quarter. But his 28 topped Kareem's 27. He has the most points in Lakers debut.
Greatest Laker ever?
Obviously, he's on Mount Rushmore.
Put him on Mount Rushmore now. Or build him a statue.
And they still lost.
Yeah, they did. But we'll get to that in like 30 minutes because of how we drag on with stuff like this. So, continue on the Raptors losing Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard.
And basically, they still got their core together, their young core together, which I think they're going to be better of a year improvement. They went to battle in the playoffs. They got that under their belt, won a championship. So like in Van Vliet, I like him a lot. Kyle Lowry, he's always just a solid guy. And then you got Marc Gasol, who's always solid. You got veteran, a good balance of veteran and young talent. And their coach, their coach is pretty good.
So that's kind of why I have the Celtics at 4 is everybody knows their role. And like, that's how I feel with the Celtics. Like, I feel like everybody understands what they need to do for them to be successful. And that goes a long way. Like, that's why, again, as I mentioned the Spurs earlier, that's why the Spurs are always in the playoffs. Like, last year, people wrote them off before the season started. They wrote them off in the middle of the season. But everybody knows what their role is. And once they figure out how to go about succeeding in those roles, the sky's the limit. And with the Raptors, the consistent unit growing older, like Pascal Siakam, what you saw in the first game is just he has I mentioned it last year during the season, maybe during the playoffs, that Siakam reminded me of Giannis. Like, he has that is the trajectory he's on. He's big, he's athletic, he can handle the ball, he'll rebound. Not the greatest shooter, but will shoot threes. And yeah, they have the same core, and they've played a full season together. And I really like their team, but I don't like Pascal Siakam being their best player compared to the Celtics. Like, I think Jason Tatum is a better player than Pascal Siakam, or at least has the chance to be. I do think Kemba Walker's better than Pascal Siakam, and Jimmy Butler's better than any guy from either of those teams. And that's when you're trying to pull hairs on who's going to be just a little bit better. Like, when it comes down to maybe a game or two difference with these teams, I'm going to fall back on, all right, who has the best player? Andrew, who's your 5 seed?
My 5, I got Brooklyn.
Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
Kyrie.
50.
Kyrie in the East.
Losing to Andrew Wiggins and the Wolves in game 1.
It's more of a team.
It's a team sport.
Yeah, it's a more team. It's also a Western team.
Yeah.
The East, I don't think the East can match up with the West at all, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, it's
yeah. I'm very unsure about this Brooklyn team, this Brooklyn season. Kyrie on his, like, as the leader of a team doesn't have a great track record, as good as he is.
He's got a good stat record.
He does have a good stat record. Let me pull this up. So you're looking at, like, I like Taurean Prince, former Baylor player, played in Atlanta. Like, I like him being there. Jared Allen is a great big for the game, today's game. Joe Harris, knockdown shooter. Karis LeVert, that's like Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie. being the catalyst that they were for that last year's team until they figured out like really how to gel with D'Angelo Russell. They were one of the most fun teams to watch last year with how they interacted, their chemistry. Like they all loved one another, and you saw it on the court. But in game one, you're playing. It did go into OT, but you're playing your 5 starters all over 36 minutes, and you're playing your backups 7, 17, 19, 13, and 17 minutes. You need to find a better rotation with this. And this is another possible how long is it going to take before Kenny Atkinson gets fired kind of thing. Because they're in the same way with the Sixers is Brooklyn is in a we need to be a competitive team this year. They don't necessarily need to make the East Finals or the Finals, but they need to be competitive. And if things don't go well in the first couple months, I don't see any way that Kenny Atkinson keeps his job when you're going to be bringing in Kevin Durant next year. But I do have the Nets as my 6th seed. Just because I do think that their team is talented enough, especially in the East.
It's always that in the East.
Yeah, like
especially
we have different standards for them. They're not very high.
If the Nets don't make the playoffs this year, NBA commentators, analysts, NBA Twitter is going to burn Kyrie at the stake. Like, he's going to be the most hated NBA player in the league. And I don't think there's even going to be a close second with him not being, if he's not able to carry the Nets to the playoffs in this Eastern Conference, they're just going to roast him forever. Like, even if Kevin Durant comes back next year and they win a title and he hits another big shot in a Game 7 like he did with the Cavs, it's just going to be like you rode coattails. Like, you might be a great second fiddle, but you rode the coattails of LeBron and Durant. So I think if things don't go right, 1, you're going to see a coaching change, and 2, you're going to see Kyrie get back into his Boston stage last year where he's just kind of a dick, where he's like, I'm the best player right now. Like, well, I should be shooting more. What he said at the end of the season last year. So the Nets and the Sixers, very similar. Things need to go right this year. Nothing can go wrong. Things have to go right for them. So they're my 6th seed. Alvin, who's your 6th seed?
I got the Celtics.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to touch on why you have them a little further behind, other than you just don't think that they're as talented?
Damn, me and Alvin got a lot of the same ones.
I mean, I just feel they're just going to take a step back. Like, just like how they did last year, I feel like they're going to do it again this year. Relying on Kemba and like Jason Tatum to be like your main guys. I don't think
Kemba's not as good as Kyrie. Al Horford, that's a big loss.
Yeah,
still.
the Al Horford loss.
Do you have them as your 6th seed?
That's
too?
my 6 also, yeah.
Yeah, the Al Horford thing.
And I got the Nets as my 5.
Oh, did I skip your? I thought you.
We had the same 5 and 6.
Yeah.
I thought you said your 5, but I guess I went with 5 because you had Raptors at 4.
Yeah.
So the Horford thing with the Celtics is really the like key thing for them.
And Marcus Morris.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck Marcus Morris. No, they did fucking rely on him though.
They did.
That's a loss for him. That's a loss for them.
Which is kind of sad that like he shouldn't be a guy that's a make or break player for you.
Nope.
And maybe that's why things went wrong last year.
They lost like 3 of their top 4 players.
I mean, I would put Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum over Marcus Morris. I would put Marcus Smart over
Talent-wise,
Marcus
yes,
Morris.
but not like
But like
necessity.
bench,
Like you relied on him that
like
much.
their bench depth like shrunk. You know, what I mean? Like
Yeah, I think that their bench is better than what it seems. And I just think that they're going to be one of those teams where in a few months you're going to be like, that team is really well coached. They all know their roles, and they have guys who can, at the end of the game, if it's close, they can have guys that can put it away. And I'm projecting a little bit with my pick on the Celtics because it is going to be Jason Tatum has to look like the Jason Tatum of the playoffs 2 years ago. Which I think he can do. So I had Nets at 6. Both of y'all had Celtics at 6.
Yeah.
Andrew, who's 7? Let's do the funky chicken.
Fucking shit shoot. I got Atlanta.
Ooh.
I told you it's a shit shoot. I got Atlanta.
Go ahead and tell me your reason why with them.
Because I could see them getting 30 wins.
I feel like with them it's going to be a little bit of why like the Raptors can still be competitive is you're relying on these young guys who looked really good and now they're just a year older. They've had another year under their belt, and like I have been high on Cam Reddish all the way through that Duke journey when people started shitting on him, saying that he shouldn't be a top pick in the NBA draft. He fell. The DeAndre Hunter draft pick was excellent. John Collins looked like he was going to be like the next, like at least a top 10 big man. Trae Young looked at times to live up to the next Steph Curry role.
Flash flood warning.
Yeah.
Everyone got it.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking phone, my watch, everything. I was like, what the fuck? My laptop's vibrating.
So yeah, I really enjoy this Hawks team. But they're definitely more projecting than a lot of the other teams.
You'd hate to see my 8 seed.
Alvin, who's 7 for you?
I got the Heat as a 7th.
Okay. And I have the Magic as my number 7 seed.
Yeah, I was tossing with a few teams.
Because they can get 30 wins too.
They can get 36.
As they did last year.
So with them, I really want the Spurs to find a way to trade for Aaron Gordon.
Again.
I like
this is last year's talk too.
Yeah. I think that guy, that's the type of player the Spurs need.
That's that missing piece.
Is he's incredible. Jonathan Isaac can do things on the court that very few people can do at his size.
With Orlando's record, we have a pretty good chance.
You have Vucevic, who is a solid back to the basket big that you can rely on to give you 20 and 10. From what I saw in the offseason, Markelle Fultz is going to look like the player who he was supposed to be 2 years ago when he got drafted number 1 overall by the Sixers. I think a lot of people just gave up on him way too early, that you just needed to like let him work through his shoulder issue. But when he's actually able to be on the court, that guy can do everything. And they were the 8 seed last year, and I mean, it's a theme. You kept your core. You're a year older. You have another year under your belt together. Let's see what Mo Bamba can do in his second year with some of these other big guys. Terrence Ross can light it up. I believe they still have Evan Fournier, another just sharpshooter.
I remember when I mentioned Terrence Ross last year, I got laughed at.
About the Magic?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that
that's last year, dog.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
This is this year. We're still talking about Kyle Korver.
We moved on to TJ McConnell.
So, if you're gonna say TJ McConnell is a key role player for a team that's whatever seed you had them at, like Terrence Ross being a key role player for a 7 seed, like that's definitely a more reasonable thing, and I'm calling it a role player. Like if they're relying on Terrence Ross to be their best player, I wouldn't put the Magic here. While he can shoot the lights out and he can score 30 on a random Thursday night, he should not be your top 4 player for you. Just like TJ McConnell shouldn't be a top 7 player for you. And I mean, I want all white guys to succeed in the NBA.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have Orlando as my 7 seed. So, Andrew had Hawks, you had Heat, I had Magic. My 8 seed is the Atlanta Hawks.
My 8 seed is also the Atlanta Hawks.
So we all have.
My 8 seed is the Bulls.
Oh,
they were.
I was fighting to put them in.
Yeah, they were close. They were close to get them in there. So you don't have the Heat in at all? No, you have the Heat in. Who don't you have that I don't have? You don't have the Magic?
Magic.
Do you have the Raptors?
No Raptors.
So you don't have the Magic and the Raptors. Yeah, the Bulls, oh man. They are, I feel like, the cult team this year where everybody's like kind of riding their wave. Like Lauri Markkanen looks phenomenal. Zach LaVine looks like he has his act together and he's going to be a stud.
And going to try to play defense.
Kobe White looks like he's a possible Rookie of the Year candidate. Everything that they've done, all the moves they've made, like Jim Boylan, like has them punching a time card when they get to practice, and I fucking love it, even though he was being criticized by T-Mac.
I love the old school vibe from him.
Yeah, like he's coaching a bunch of young guys who've never worked a job. Like they need to know that you have to work on your craft. Like, hey, Tracy McGrady, newsflash. Had you stayed healthy, you could have been a top 15 player of all time.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's how good. That's how good you were. Like you're the exception to the rule.
The Bulls are just like very talented and got young depth.
Yeah,
because we didn't even mention Otto Porter Jr.
Right. I mean, and then Wendell Carter in his second year, like I would not be surprised if they made the playoffs one bit. I wouldn't be surprised if the Magic and Hawks didn't. Like the bottom of the East is wacky, and we started the pod on the Knicks. Like it wouldn't actually surprise me to see the Knicks slip into the 8 seed because I just like the pieces they have. It's just going to be wild and wacky. So we need to get moving on to the West because I feel like there are stone cold locks when it comes to the West. And I guess the difference is going to be the seeding position. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to name the team.
Fire shot that.
I'm going to name the team. You say if you have them in the playoffs, like, well, if they are a lock to make the playoffs, like, because I think there are 5 teams and then we can talk on them a little
6,
bit.
7, and 8.
So Clippers lock to make the playoffs, right?
Of course.
1.
I have them as the 1 seed.
Yep.
Denver Nuggets.
2.
My 5.
My 2.
5.
Yep.
They're going to be tricky. They're gonna be really tricky.
They are going to be tricky.
Because I could also see them being the 1 seed because they're just incredibly deep, well coached. Jokic could be the MVP this year. So Nuggets, yes, I have them 2. Lakers.
7.
4.
I have them as the 3 seed.
He's giving us his order.
I am. Yeah, I'm just my top 5. I just see as locks. Like to me, I'm just like I don't see any way that they miss the playoffs without injury. Jazz.
My 4.
My 4.
We all have them at 4.
Yeah.
And Rockets.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I have Utah at 3. I have Lakers at 4.
Okay.
I have Rockets as 2.
I got Rockets at 6.
The Rockets, I think, out of these 5, can go either way. They could be the 1 seed. They could be the 8 seed. I don't see any way that they miss the playoffs because James Harden and Russell Westbrook are just too good of players to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, they just
if they made the playoffs with Chris Paul and James Harden, like right now at this point, and I mean Chris Paul is a better shooter, but Russell Westbrook is a better player right now at this point in their careers. So I have them 5. So 6, 7, 8. It gets a little tricky, but we all had the same top 5, right? Well, you had
No. I have Houston at 6.
Who do you have in there?
My 3rd is the Warriors.
What?
Yep. Y'all sleep. Y'all sleep. Hey, y'all like to say I come up with some crazy stuff, but my crazy stuff come true.
It's gonna be a one-man show this time.
Yeah.
So I can see a case. I can see a case for the Warriors being there. D'Angelo Russell builds off of what he learned playing with the Nets, now playing in a better system with a better coach, with better players. I could see it working. They're not going to be nearly as good defensively. They're going to be relying heavily on Steph and Draymond. Willie Cauley-Stein is possibly the best center.
Willie Cauley-Stein's not even playing right now.
He's not?
Thought he was hurt.
He might be hurt, but that doesn't mean he's still not their best center.
He's not on the court.
I mean, you still got Kevon Looney also.
Yeah, but I don't know about
their biggest upgrade was getting rid of bum-ass JaVale McGee.
Yeah.
So they're going to be relying on Alec Burks, who
could shoot it.
He can score, but he's been underwhelming since he got drafted.
I give that.
How Jewish is Willie Cauley-Stein?
How Jewish?
If you look at the guy, I would say not so much.
But if you look at his name, you're like, that's Kike.
He loves his money.
He's the chosen one.
He's pinching pennies over there. They're going to be relying on Marquise Chris, who has been quite a disappointment in his career. They have Eric Pascal from Villanova, who is Draymond Green with a shot. Just not as explosive athletically, not as long, not as good of a defender. They're going to be relying on Jordan Poole out of Michigan. Omari Spellman, another Villanova guy. Another power forward who can shoot. Their team is just not... Glenn Robinson III is a good player. I just think that they just don't have the same depth. They don't have the same defense.
Didn't they also pick up not to say like he's any good, but didn't they pick up Scottie Pippen's kid? Wasn't it the Warriors?
If his last name is Pippen, then he's not on their team.
No.
Willie Cauley-Stein's got a foot injury.
But yeah, the case is D'Angelo Russell playing with Steph Curry is the best backcourt in the league. Draymond Green is just all hellfire the entire year. And then you get those random contributions because the Warrior system playing with Steph and little things like that. They're my 7 seed. Like, I still have them in the playoffs because I think when your top talent is that good, you're going to beat up on bad teams. You're going to beat the Suns. You're going to beat the Wolves. You're going to beat the Grizzlies. And then you're going to be able to steal games from the middle of the pack teams. You're going to be able to beat the Spurs, beat the Mavericks, beat the Kings, teams like that. But I don't see them... They're not nearly the same powerhouse. We can all agree to that. So them being a 3 seed, I think, is definitely a reach. But for all I know, like, this LeBron Anthony Davis thing won't work, and Anthony and the Lakers aren't as good as they should be. And when in cases when that happens, then it allows a team to slip in there. So they're my 7 seed. Andrew, do you have the Warriors in playoffs?
Yes.
Where are they at?
7.
Okay. Who's your number 6 seed, Andrew?
Houston.
Who is your 6?
Spurs.
And I have the Spurs at 6 too.
My 5 seed, though.
You have them at 5?
No. Dallas.
Dallas at 5. All right.
Dallas at 5.
Okay.
I like that. I like that little synergy that they're gonna have between.
They're
Nuggets
my
are my
8 seed.
5.
So
I got them at 5, and I got Spurs at 8.
okay. So it seems like we're pretty solid on
The 8 teams.
the 8 teams.
Well, I got Blazers as my 8.
Yeah,
Blazers are hard.
they were
Blazers are hard to keep out.
I think the Rockets, I think, are the most dramatic. Like, they could be a 34-win team, or they could be a 59-win team.
They
I
could
think
explode or implode.
I think the Blazers are the next team there. They can be a 29-win team, and they can be a 50-win team. Like, they have a wide variance, because I hated their offseason. I just absolutely hated everything they did. Everything. 0 moves that they made this offseason I liked.
So are we going shotgun the awards?
Well, we're gonna finals. What do we have as the finals?
I have Clippers and Sixers final.
Clippers over Sixers.
Clippers over
Clippers
Sixers.
over Sixers.
Yeah, that's just I'm still super excited for this NBA season, because there is a chance that, this isn't the finals. Like, there is a chance that
It's not like years past.
right, where it's just like, okay, you can mark
We
it
know.
down.
Yeah, we
Like-
know who it's gonna be.
Like last year, the Eastern Conference was at least still a crapshoot,
Yeah.
but the West was pretty much like, is there any chance that the Warriors are going to lose in the Western Conference? Whereas this year, I mean, it's starting to feel that way about the Clippers, because Kawhi is a fucking machine.
He's a Terminator.
He's a Terminator.
Such a fucking retarded commercial.
The laugh at the end just sold it for me.
I loved the commercial up until they brought in Sarah Connor and let like a dialogue between all 4 of them happen, because when it was just Kawhi and Arnold, I was like, all right, cool. That's cool. And then Paul George, like I like that. And then they made it a 4-person dialogue where then they were just like, pile on the corniness, just make as many bad jokes.
It was one of those bad, good commercials.
And then they ended it well with his eye turning red. There was one thing before we talked about with Clippers. Well, let me ask you this, Alvin. We all have the Clippers over Sixers,
Yeah.
which inevitably means Kawhi Leonard wins his 3rd Finals MVP for the 3rd different team.
Mm-hmm.
Never been done.
Mm-hmm.
Back-to-back titles, back-to-back Finals MVPs on 2 different teams. Never been done.
Will be a 3rd one.
Well, no, I'm saying like he'll have back-to-back titles with back-to-back Finals MVP on 2 different teams has never been done, but also the fact that he has 3 titles or 3 Finals MVPs on 3 different teams, because people have won 3 or more titles on 3 different teams, like Robert Ory.
Yeah.
But being the Finals MVP is the thing. Where would you put him as far as all-timers go?
If he does that, he'll be in my top 5.
Top 5 all time?
He will be. Yeah.
See,
To do that. And we're
You
talking
know-
we're talking about being a Finals MVP for a third team.
So I'm not going to. I don't give a shit if you're a champion and have a ring or any like the accolades. I could go without. Like if I felt a player was better and he didn't win a title, like I would put somebody over Jordan. Like if I felt he was better. Like, I'm not going to just be like, well, he has 6 titles, so he's obviously the better player. Like, that doesn't necessarily that's not always the case. Here's the thing I'm having a tough time with Kawhi. Growing up in San Antonio, watching every Spurs playoff game for as long as I can remember, like watching everybody come and go. He only won the Finals MVP that year because he was guarding LeBron. Same reason why Iguodala won it when they beat LeBron the next year. It was you played good defense on LeBron. We're going to give you the Finals MVP. I could make a case that Tim Duncan deserved that Finals MVP more than anybody. I wasn't mad that Kawhi got it, but that one is kind of more of a you didn't have any, and same thing with Iguodala. You didn't have anybody just completely blow you away to win it, and somebody has to win it. And LeBron could have won it over Iguodala. He was the first player in NBA history to lead both teams in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks in an NBA Finals. LeBron should have won Most Valuable Player in that series because he was playing without Kyrie, without Kevin Love. Like, they just had to give it to somebody. I feel the same way about Kawhi's first Finals MVP. They had to give it to somebody. They gave it to Kawhi. I would put him probably a top 20 player if they win it and he wins another Finals MVP. But he's going to need to play more he's going to need to play in that 70 to 75 game range for another 4 years before I'm going to vault him into the top 5. It's about, to me, the greatest basketball players and greatest of any sport, really. It's like, okay, cool, you had a few really good seasons. Do it for 7 years in a row. Do it for 8 years in a row. Do it for 19 years in a row, like Kobe and Tim and Dirk. While they tailed off at the end, they had a 7-year peak. They had a 15 to 20 year run where they were contributors on playoff teams outside of the last 2 years of Dirk and the last few years of Kobe. So I'm not about to put him in the top 5, but I understand the reasons. I understand, but he's not better than Tim Duncan. I don't know who your top 5 is, but who are you knocking down? I don't think Kawhi right now is better all time than Shaq. I don't think he's better than Kobe. Even if he wins a Finals MVP and another title this year, he can get there. I won't rule it out like some people do. No, there's no way. This is my 5. That nobody's going to be able to be better than them. But I'm not going to give it to him after this year. And speaking of Kawhi, let's get to the awards. NBA MVP. Who do we have? I have Kawhi. Because I think it's best player on best team. He's going to need to actually carry the load a little bit early in the season.
And the media is going to to be broadcasting it.
They're
going to be campaigning all season.
Until Paul George gets there. I really thought about... I actually almost wrote down Joel Embiid. But I think with them, it's going to be more of a joint effort. But Joel Embiid is definitely there. I almost wrote down Anthony Davis because I think LeBron is going to be pushing hard to get Anthony Davis the MVP. But at the end of the day, I think Kawhi is going to, as I said, he needs to play 70 to 75 games. And I think he'll do that. I think he'll be around the 70 game mark because he's had a full season after the knee issues. He knows how much he can push himself now. And without Paul George, I think that he's going to need to shoulder the load until Paul George's shoulders are ready. So Andrew has Kawhi. Alvin, who's your MVP?
I got Kyrie.
Interesting.
I'm just going to gloss over that.
He's really going to have to carry the load.
Well, where did you have them in the playoffs?
My 5th seed.
So you think that after the Russell Westbrook triple-double MVP being, did they even make the playoffs that year?
Yeah.
The Thunder did?
Yeah. They never missed the playoffs with just Russell Westbrook there.
Yeah, that's right. But people were like, how the fuck did we give it to him? Because like he wasn't really that value. I guess the team was just bad. I think that if Kyrie is going to win it, they need to be a top 3 seed. If they're a top 3 seed, then I'm all for Kyrie winning MVP. But it's just that's going to mark his value. Is he took a team that was on the cusp of being in the playoff, or they were the 7 seed last year. Like just bumping them up to the 5 seed, I don't think adds enough value to make him the MVP. I think he's going to need to really bump them up a lot higher to do it. And I mean, he's good enough too. So coach of the year, Alvin.
Doc.
Andrew. Doc.
Pass. Pop.
He always has Pop.
He's the best coach.
And so I have Brett Brown here because
he's going to get fired.
That's what I was saying.
I said he could get fired. Just because I said he could doesn't mean I think he will.
He could either be the first coach fired or he could be the coach of the year.
Yeah.
Exactly. The Sixers can either be the number 2 seed or their whole entire season could just implode.
Shit.
It's
like a Chris Brown song.
Is there,
it's just wall to wall.
Is there any flawed logic there that he can't be the coach of the year because if things don't go right, he gets fired? Like, if I have him coach of the year, I obviously think things are going to go right, but that doesn't mean that there's a possibility that things go wrong and he gets fired. Because he will get fired if things don't go right. That's like Doc Rivers, if he wasn't in the same, if he wasn't in the position he is with the standing in that locker room, if that was any other coach, it would be immediate hot seat. Like if you don't make it to the NBA finals, like you failed and you're fired. But since it's Doc and he has a history with the Clippers and he's built the stature and he has the power and that, like, if things go wrong, it's going to be like, okay, well, this was your first year with this kind of like roster, like we can sweep it under the rug. This is Brett Brown's 4th year through the process, having been whatever seed they were last year, losing to the eventual champions on a crazy Game 7 4 bounce off the rim shot from Kawhi. They have real expectations, and if they don't meet them, Brett Brown gets fired. If they do meet them, they are the best team in the league, and he wins coach of the year. Both things can be possible. So I don't see why y'all are like, how can he be the first coach fired and also
it's just that making a case for both sides is just
but you can. Yeah. It's Jason Garrett for Cowboys fans. You don't make the playoff. I mean, at this point, I think a lot of Cowboys fans are like, can we just get rid of them no matter how good we are? But
pretty much.
But for just in general, if they don't win the division, if they don't make the playoffs, they fire him. If they do win the division, if they do make the playoffs, they keep him. It's the same exact thing, just at a higher standard for Brett Brown this year. Rookie of the year. I have RJ Barrett. because Zion being out 2 months is really going to hurt. He would have to come out from his torn meniscus like gangbusters and just be something that the world has never seen. Coming back from the meniscus, I don't know if that's going to actually happen. So he might be like 3 months into the season before we really start seeing like what could be with Zion. And that gives the other rookies a chance to really like get a foothold into it. And it's going to be like Trae Young last year. Luka had a foothold because what he did early in the season, that no matter how good Trae Young looked at the end of the season, he just couldn't overcome how great Luka was all year. And I think RJ Barrett being the main guy handling the ball in New York, and, you know, we talked about them possibly being a playoff team, like, because of how weird but yet talented their roster is. I can definitely see him winning it. Andrew, Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, I got RJ.
Pretty much same reasons.
Yeah.
Alvin.
I got Ja Morant.
Which he's now the favorite. I think the difference between RJ Barrett and Ja Morant is Ja Morant's going to be on a much worse team. And I think that's going to be one thing that is going to sway voters, is if Memphis is as bad as they're possibly going to be, where they're a 13-14 win team and the Knicks are a 26 win team, voting is going to sway to RJ. Unless Ja Morant just has an absolutely just
bonkers.
Yeah, like I've heard bold predictions that he's going to lead the league in assists.
Oh, that's hella bold.
Yeah, so
he's that kind of player, though.
Yeah. And I mean, they have a plan. They know who they have, and they know what they want to do there. Defensive Player of the Year is a wacky one this year. Alvin, who do you have?
I got Draymond, just because they're going to have to rely on him a lot.
Right. I mean, you have them as your 3 seed, so they better win an award for something. I'm surprised you didn't have Steph as the MVP this year, with them being the 3 seed. Andrew? Defense.
I got Kawhi.
MVP and defensive player?
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
I almost thought about doing that too.
I think only Jordan did that.
And Hakeem,
Hakeem did that also?
Or it's been done twice. I want to say it was Hakeem. But do you have anything else you want to add on Kawhi? Just the fact that he's going to have to play more? And
no, I mean, I don't think this is anything new. I mean, aside from his last 2 years, I mean, Kawhi's shut down defense.
Just showing him the answer. It is Jordan and Hakeem. My defensive player of the year is Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's something that he really cares about. He has the ability to guard 1 through 5 like Kawhi. And he's going to play enough games to like be there at the end. I don't know if that's going to actually be the case. I think Kawhi, I know I just said I think Kawhi's going to play around 70. I don't know for sure. And I also don't know how like seriously he's going to be taking defense when in the first game against the Lakers, it's not like he's guarding LeBron and going all out defensively. He's guarding an off-ball guy where he can focus he's kind of getting to that LeBron stage where he can focus more of his attention on offense and not defense. And then last one, most improved player, Alvin.
Siakam, just because he's going to be
back
the best.
to back.
Huh?
Going back to back most improved players.
Well, now he's going to put up more points than what he did this year.
He's going to improve more.
The starters, they have their new podcast called No Dunks now through The Athletic. And I was listening to their season preview, and their host, J.E. Skeets, said that that's a possibility because really no time have you seen a guy jump from like 9 points to 17 points like he did last year.
To
and
20
now that he's going to be the main guy, like it's not out of the realm of possibility that he wins back to back, because like what's us to say that he wasn't the most improved again? Andrew, who do you have?
I got Lonzo Ball.
Hey,
Good pick.
Okay,
Good pick.
Okay.
I like
Lonzo
that.
Ball.
I'm actually not mad at that.
Mine's DeJounte Murray.
Okay.
Coming off of,
same thing as Lonzo,
missed year, and he has to be a like 16-7 guy, and he's gonna average 2+ steals. He could lead the league in steals.
I almost put Markelle Fultz in mine.
Yeah, that's another good one. But like defensive player can go to anybody, most improved can go to anybody. And I think there's only like a handful of people for MVP, rookie, and coach. So that wraps up this episode. The NBA is back. The Bucks-Rockets game looked like it was going to end up being a good one after a 16-point halftime lead for the Rockets. I'm super excited to see how this season plays out. I just pray to God that the Spurs don't miss the playoffs. It's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting one. And we'll continue our weekly podcast of talking NFL. Next week we might talk World Series, and we'll talk NBA stuff. All
World
the
Series
news.
like recap.
Right? Yeah, at this rate. So, Andrew, you want to say your subscribe?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, review, tell everybody, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your grandma, tell anybody that has a phone, iTunes, Spotify. Get those numbers up. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. I'm not going to tell you we're going to listen to you, but still do it.
I might actually listen to you. I probably will listen to you because, I mean, while we have our ideas, like, we do want to get something out that people will listen to and like. And you don't honestly subscribe, and you don't even have to listen to it because I don't care. Like, I would like you to listen to it.
You can subscribe and like it. You can just fuck yourself.
Like Marcus Morris. So I'm Casey Coggins, joined by Alvin Hebert,
Outros,
and Andrew Lara.
And fuck your mother.